Did you know that explainer videos are coming to the App Store? Well, it's true starting tomorrow, September 17th, with the release of iOS 8 and OS 10 Yosemite. Apple's App Store is going to be allowing developers to include short 30-second product videos about their apps. Now, this is going to help you better engage customers with short videos about your app in action. It's going to increase downloads. In fact, a marketing Sherpa study discovered that viewers of product videos, they're 75% more likely to buy after watching. So to help you better understand how this is going to change the competitive landscape for app developers, I'm joined right now by Russell Hawley from Geek.com. Hi, Russell.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Russell, it's my pleasure. Look, this is a fun topic because, watching digital play out and watching app developers become more and more competitive inside of like the Google Play Store, and now seeing it happen to Apple, there's a lot that we can learn. So how can app developers leverage video on their app product store pages? And then later on, we're going to talk about some of the nuances of what Apple's looking for. So tell me about that. How can they leverage video?
Well, this has been an impressive kind of evolution that we've seen for video as kind of the selling and marketing point for an application, and it goes way beyond just an application. Over the past couple of years, we've seen Steam's Greenlight store for video games, Kickstarter. A good Kickstarter video is just such a huge deal when it comes to marketing a new product, and you see the exact same thing with the Google Play Store, where the very first thing most users will see when they get to the app is the icon that you have for the application, and then that play button right next to the display and description for what's going on, and that space is your kind of visual commercial to broadcast yourself.
All right, you bring up a really good point. I'm going to flip my screen on so people can see what this is going to look like. This is one of the images that Apple released. And you click the play button on your mobile device, and an explainer video is right here where you could click and watch it. That video is going to be about 30 seconds. You have a choice, 15 to 30 seconds, nothing more than that. Talk to me about how that kind of a video about the app encourages people, or at least inspires confidence to help them download.
Well, especially in most cases, what you see in that video is a quick tour through what the application actually does. And the biggest thing, especially with the App Store, because there's no return window for applications that you've purchased, that 30 seconds to make your case for why it is your app is special, what it is that you do differently, or even just a 30-second walkthrough of the features is a tremendous opportunity to let someone know that your app is worth downloading.
It's a really good point. I don't think enough people think about why video works. With digital customers, like you just mentioned, Russell, you have a really short window of opportunity to convince someone to buy, right? Because people are lazy readers, and right? You are, I am. I'm just going to speak on behalf of your lazy readingness, but at least I am. And we process information through video 60,000 times faster than we do a text. Plus, people retain 68% of the information that they watch in a video, and only 11% of what they read. So in order to increase revenue, the videos on product pages are a really powerful tool to be able to engage target customers. There's a credibility that it provides also, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. And if you go to a bunch of different applications on the App Store right now, one of the first things that you'll see in the description is a link to a YouTube video that breaks down, or a review from a blogger that said something nice about them or something to that effect, and it usually also includes a video. So it's a visual medium that has to happen when it comes to applications, just because there's so many apps. I mean, it's impossible to sift through all 9,000 of the ruler apps that are on the App Store. You have to know which one offers the features that you're actually interested in.
That's exactly right. Now, for those of you who are watching that want to submit in a question, we're going to be monitoring the events page and taking questions as they come in. It's so cool that you bring this up. Look, there is so much chatter in the App Store. A video sets you apart. It allows you to actually watch, because currently they're just screenshots, but a video allows you to watch that app through the development process, or excuse me, the user process. And that inspires confidence in the tool because you're watching it, you're looking at somebody interact with it, and you're also saying to yourself, how much quality is this app? Is it worth my purchase or my download? And I think you've probably had plenty of times where you've downloaded something only to find out that the screen grabs weren't nearly as good as the actual, as the actual app's quality. So you've experienced something similar, right?
Well, I mean, one of the great and terrible things about Apple software is that they give you the tools to make, a lot of very interesting design decisions within an application, and as a result, a lot of Apple's, apps in the App Store have a very similar look and feel to them, and that, so those screenshots, not only can they be different when you go to actually install the product, but that's not necessarily indicative of what the product actually does and how well it does some of the things that they announce in their features page. So a video is a tremendous way to kind of resolve that.
All right, Russell, let's talk about the video. What should that video be like? How should it function? You have any ideas on that?
Well, so, you take a page from what we're seeing on the Steam Greenlight when it comes to videos, because those are often, fairly short videos, and, it's not like Kickstarter where you've got, 20 minutes to kind of make that sell and explain what it is that you're doing. It's a very quick walkthrough of what it is that you're doing, and, either text or spoken word explaining why it is that this app is significant and what's going on there. And really, it's not even something that has to necessarily have particularly high video editing quality to it. As long as you can record what's actually happening on the screen, you've got most of the job there already.
Yeah, no doubt. I look at it as a big credibility piece. I think that video needs to be tightly scripted. I think it has to have significant production value because, especially for a paid app or for a free app that you're trying to bounce people into a paid app, Apple's attempted to make the video creation functionality for developers rather simple, but I think that's if you're gonna spend 1,000 hours working on your app, you should at least spend some professional time making sure that that app represents the quality, or that video represents the app's quality. So that to me sounds like somewhat of a pitfall for developers to try to get into the video making business with the marketing strategy and the level of production value that needs to come in. But it'll be interesting to see how people charter that course on their own. Talk to me about what this means for the industry in general. Like, does this create a competitive advantage and a competitive disadvantage for those that don't have it?
It definitely means that larger companies with larger budgets, that can either hire a straight-up video marketing team or a video editing team, have an advantage over the smaller kind of indie developer. But at the same time, a lot of the core functionality for what this video is going to provide, can be accomplished with pretty simple video editing tools. So I mean, as long as you can record what's going on the screen, and you're not doing it with another iPhone pointed at your iPhone to try and grab a video, then you've got a pretty decent chance of having something usable there. But it's definitely an advantage to companies with either a larger budget or someone who's competent at video editing.
Right. So, we're a video marketing agency. We spend a lot of time on these types of explainer videos, scripting, the science behind it, how you get the message, what are the 3 value propositions that are the most important, how do you explain that in 30 seconds while also demonstrating it. It's kind of a juggling act. But it's going to, I think what's going to end up happening, if we've learned anything from the way that video sells on the internet, is it's going to be a really nice value opportunity for businesses in the App Store that are in a very competitive landscape. Small companies you mentioned can take advantage of this in the App Store. I know that Apple has released a way for people to create their own videos, and that's kind of an interesting tool. I went and looked at it, and some of the things they talk about is maybe using a narrator or a music bed, small amounts of animated text. In fact, inside of the inside of the Showcase app, I've included that article. You should be able to click on it, and if you don't, I'll put it into the events page. Any thoughts on what that video should consist of? Kind of give me your expert level skeleton of those items that should be in that video.
Well, I mean, the very first thing that you want to do is keep as much focus on the application as possible. I think that given 30 seconds, drifting away to, individual people, developers, and things like that is probably not how you want to spend that time. So focusing on the application itself is probably key. And really the biggest thing you can do is make sure that it's smooth, not stuttering. Whoever's talking is very well represented, very well spoken, and just delivers whatever your personal message is as cleanly as possible.
Yeah, we tend to say that about 100 words will fit in about 60 seconds spoken. But once you start to script that explainer video, you start to realize that things move, visual images move quicker than the words. Mm-hmm. So you're probably in a 30-second going to end up using about 20 words if you think about it. That's not a lot of time, right? You've got to be very, very succinct.
It's definitely an interesting challenge, and it's going to be a challenge that a lot of these, especially smaller developers, have never really encountered before, unless they've been trying to make their own promo videos on things like YouTube in the past.
All right, talk to me about the Google Play Store and how it's worked in the past with videos. Give me your thoughts on that.
The Google Play video system is not entirely different from YouTube. It's an isolated kind of separate system where the videos that are put on the Google Play Store are only really accessed from the Google Play Store, but the videos can be as long as you really want them to. There aren't nearly as stringent limits on length or content on the Google Play Store as there are with the App Store, and in a lot of cases what I've seen developers either do basic walkthroughs with screen recording tools that they have to grab the image straight from the application itself. I've seen very high edited commercial quality videos that have shown up, and then there are occasional chances where a developer will see a video review for an application that they've made and reached out to the person responsible for that video review and taken that and used it as the product video. Yeah,
it's pretty impressive. The Google Play is kind of like the model that Apple's operating off of as it pertains to video. App demo videos are already available, like Russell just mentioned, in the Google Play Store, and they've been very successful with customers. And as a result, developers not only rely on video, but have considered them essential for business. So just think about this for a moment. Paid apps are the only way that a customer can really watch your app in action, and research shows that app shopping is really impulse buying, and that a video should be designed to instill that confidence, right? That excitement. And so Apple has some significantly stricter guidelines on the format of the video in their App Store than Google Play does. And so when you do your research on it, you really want to make sure that you're putting together a very, very smart video that's going to show that app in action very succinctly. Can we talk about funding? It seems like there's a lot of developers that that I know. When I'm on a panel at something like a House of Genius or a Gameplank, where young developers are trying to get their app to the marketplace, how does a video of their app help a developer get funding?
Well, I mean, as far as getting funding directly, that's an interesting challenge unless you find a way to mention it directly and not be kind of overt about it. But you can see. Anytime that you go and make a video like this, if your focus is, growth, like, you say things like, you have a lot more features in mind and things like that, then, that can certainly start that conversation.
Yeah, it seems like there's an app there's a video about your app that would be really helpful to send out to potential investors, to circulate, to make sure that those if an investor only has 30 seconds or 60 seconds to figure out if your app is worthy of their money, then you can strike a significantly stronger message if you've got a tightly scripted video about your app in action, and they can then start to visualize where the revenue potential of that's going to be. What do you think about that, Russell?
That is definitely, a well-reasoned argument. I mean, I definitely think that in those cases, that the video is definitely going to be more influential than just having screenshots or a basic presentation of how the application works.
Yeah, Peter Trapasso on our events page mentioned explainer videos can help quite a bit when it comes to crowdfunding campaigns like on Kickstarter, which makes sense to add them to sell more apps. Talk to me about some of the apps that you think would be most beneficial from adding video after Apple's announcement that tomorrow they're going to be adding videos into the App Store as product demo or explainer videos. Is this more beneficial for one type of app? What are your thoughts?
I don't think that there is a type of app that wouldn't be beneficial in one way or another for having some kind of explainer video, and that's purely on the experience that I've seen with the Google Play Store and in other places. I mean, having that video, it doesn't really matter what kind of application you have written and published. It is almost always a beneficial thing to have.
Yeah, it can't hurt you if it's done the right way. All right, quick question: your favorite apps on your mobile devices? What do you with being one of these, a King Geek from Geek.com, what are the apps that you have loaded in the most on your devices?
The biggest thing for me is applications that handle, data point, information that I can get from one device to another. Browser, streaming applications, particularly streaming media applications, are things that, if I go and am using a new device, those are often the first things that I go to install. And mostly it's because, I'm in a position where almost all of my data already lives online, so that may not be the best example.
So maybe an app for you, like is a popular app for you something like G Drive, where you can then go and access your information remotely?
Yeah, Google Drive, Dropbox, any of my email clients, those are all, the big thing I think for most applications right now is to have that information, have it so that it can be accessed from anywhere.
Now, it's funny that you mentioned Dropbox because, in the video marketing industry, it's known that Dropbox made itself known from an explainer video on its homepage. 30 seconds quickly showing you about how from all your devices you're able to go in and access that information, and that sells it so much quicker than text or copy could. What do you think? What do you think the adoption is going to be now that Apple's rolling this out? And we both seem very confident that this is going to be an essential business requirement. How long until everybody's doing it, adding videos to that page? It's the first thing they're going to see when they pull up right before screenshots.
I'm sure that there are hundreds of thousands of developers ready to hit the upload button already for applications that they already have in the App Store, and I would not be surprised at all to see within a year, that being the standard, where you go to an app on the App Store and a video is the first thing that you see. Because that's certainly how it is right now on the Google Play Store. You go to the Google Play Store, for me, seeing something that doesn't have a video is often, more surprising.
Mm-hmm. Totally get it. I agree. Now, one thing that makes the App Store's videos different, and we just got a question about this, is from Google Play, is the app's videos are all device specific. So universal apps need one for iPhone and another for iPad, unlike Google Play, which is based off of YouTube. So consider what elements you need in each version of your app preview. It's interesting that Apple took that approach, don't you think?
It's an interesting approach, but I think in Apple's situation, it's also kind of mandatory because the way an application looks between the iPhone and the iPad is often so radically different that if you demonstrate everything as an iPhone app and you don't really mention the iPad version of the application at all, it's entirely possible that it leads one to believe that you are, that the iPad version either isn't a complete thought or hasn't taken priority.
Right. Right. Okay. So you're saying because of the multiple different device sizes, they've got to take a different layout on each one of those product pages.
I definitely think that it has to be a separate focus for each device type, because the visual difference between an iPhone app and an iPad app is often very different.
hmm And this is being rolled out tomorrow, September 17th, with the release of iOS 8 and OS 10 Yosemite. Um, the videos in the App Store are going to be 15 to 30 seconds. Do you see a lot of people doing 15-second videos?
No, I think that most people are going to go for the time limit. I think that they're gonna push for as long as possible, because it gives them the opportunity to show more of what's going on. Unless they have a very simple app, I think that 30 seconds is going to be the default. I really wouldn't be surprised if Apple increases that limit before too long.
Like to maybe 60 seconds, right?
I would definitely say that 60 seconds. I mean, I honestly, there are some cases where, going up as high as 2 or even 3 minutes, I think is reasonable for some of these larger applications, especially games. Mobile games in particular. There's a lot to talk about in most cases.
Russell, it's funny. As you're saying this, you're making me think about a video we just did, an explainer video for a client. We told them 60 seconds. That's your limit. The attention span of your viewers really don't allow you to go above that. So they submitted their first round of, and 60 seconds, maybe 100 words, like we mentioned earlier. And they submitted their first round of scripts to us, and that was, I think they were like 450 words. And we're like, no, you're going the wrong way. We got to say less with more. The next round of scripts, after we cut it down to 100 words, and we submitted it to them, their next round of words was 640. So it just kept building. It was going the wrong way, and eventually, boom, you massage that script. You get it down into a really tight message that hits on three really key indicators or key selling points of that app, and then you've got some strong messaging. How hard is it for somebody to tell that story when they're attached to it so closely? I mean, you're a writer, you get it.
I definitely have a tendency to run on too far when it comes to words. I think, if you can get the words part and set it aside, or you can just shrink it down to just a couple of basic concepts. I think what you find with video is that there are so many creative ideas for just kind of short bursts of attention grabbing to get information across, and we're seeing perfect examples of that are things that are done in Instagram video. And similarly related services. There are comedians who take to those services and make just ridiculously funny things within 5 and 8 seconds. So the ability to deliver a message in a short amount of time is definitely something that that it is definitely easy to do.
All right, so there are a lot of intricacies with what Apple is requesting in their App Store for videos. Russell and I have talked about this off air, where we both have very busy schedules today, but we will circle back in, and if there are questions going forward about what Apple's looking for, the different formats, or even the value of adding a tightly scripted video, we're happy to talk with you about that. In fact, there's also going to be some links that I'm going to put up. Apple has a announcement that they put out that's got some guidelines for you, and so we'll make sure that that's available for you. And if you want to submit questions sometime today, the two of us will bounce back in there and see if we can answer it. Did we miss anything, Russell, when we're talking about the impact of adding videos in the App Store will be for app developers?
I can't think of anything specific that we might have missed, but I think it's important that it really can't be understated that this is something that every app developer should, at the very least, consider doing.
Yeah, I agree. The big stat that you get out of Marketing Sherpa from product videos is when you add a product video, and this is a product video about an app, to a product page, you're 75% more likely to buy after watching. That is, the science of video marketing on products, and you're going to see that this is going to be leveraged more and more in a hyper-competitive landscape like the App Store. So on behalf of Russell Hawley from Geek.com, my name is Todd Hartley. Russell, this has been great. This is a important conversation. I'm glad you and I took a few moments to talk about the developments happening in the App Store.
Yeah, I thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Cool. Now, he's Russell Hawley again from Geek.com. For more information, you just bang it out on your keyboard, go to Geek.com, or you follow Russell right here on Google+. On behalf of the two of us, we wish you guys a very successful and prosperous day inside of your own App Store, right? That's the whole goal. Talk to you later.